He's in his 30s, maybe 40s, smart, capable, successful on the surface. But every night, he lies awake at 3 a.m., eyes wide open, heart racing. Not from fear, but from something deep, an invisible weight he can't name. Why does he overthink everything? Why does he feel guilty for saying no? Why does a simple text message make his chest tighten? The truth? It didn't start yesterday. It started in childhood, with lessons no one meant to teach, but that changed everything. Tiny behaviors that once kept you safe are now quietly destroying your peace. Tonight, we're digging deep because you can't heal what you won't name. These are the childhood behaviors that ruin your adult life. Let's begin. Trying too hard to please everyone. Why you can't say no as an adult. If I say no, they'll hate me. They'll think I'm selfish. Sound familiar? That's not your adult voice. That's the echo of a child who learned early that love had to be earned. My mother used to get quiet when she was upset. Not angry, just cold. If I didn't fold the laundry just right, if I didn't smile at her friends, silence. So I learned, don't upset people. Please them. Make them happy, even if it costs you everything. Psychologists call this fawning, a trauma response where the brain believes that pleasing others is the safest way to avoid rejection. You think you're kind, generous, thoughtful, but deep down, you're terrified of being abandoned. Scared of failing all the time. How school made you afraid to mess up. He stared at his math paper, red X's everywhere. In the corner, careless mistakes, see me after class. He wasn't dumb, he was tired, but no one ever asked why. In school, we are rewarded for perfection. Mistakes, punished. And that wired our brains to believe failure equals worthlessness. So now, you don't try unless you're sure you'll win. You overthink, procrastinate, or give up before you even begin. But here's the twist. Growth psychology shows that failure is the birthplace of confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from surviving them. Always saying sorry, even when it's not your fault. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Sorry, just wanted to ask something. Sorry, I exist. Let's talk about this. Somewhere along the line, you began to believe your presence was a burden. Maybe you were the quiet kid in a loud house, or the sensitive one in a family of strong opinions. So you apologized for your needs, your feelings, your breath. But apologies became your armor, a way to keep the peace, to avoid being seen. Clinical psychologists note this behavior as a symptom of low self-worth and learned shame. But you're not wrong for existing. You never were. Hiding your feelings because you were told not to cry. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Big boys don't cry. You remember that one, right? Boys are told to man up. Girls are told they're too emotional. Either way, the message is clear. Emotion is weakness. So we learn to lock it in, numb it out, put on a mask. But here's the punch. What we suppress, we express. In anger, addiction, anxiety. According to the APA, emotional suppression leads to chronic stress and burnout. You don't need to be tough. You need to be real. Can't speak up for yourself. You were taught to stay quiet. He wanted to speak, but his throat tightened. Words formed, then vanished. At dinner tables, when adults spoke, you stayed silent. At school, when bullied, you stayed silent. Now, you're an adult, still silent, because speaking up once got you hurt or ignored. Assertiveness isn't a skill you lack. It's a right you forgot you had. Your voice isn't too loud. You've just been made to whisper for too long. Trying to be perfect all the time because you thought love had to be earned. Perfectionism isn't ambition. It's fear in disguise. Fear that if you mess up, they'll stop loving you. Your A+ wasn't about pride. It was about survival. Your clean room, a silent cry for approval. You didn't want praise. You wanted presence. Psychology labels this as conditional self-worth, when your value is tied to achievement. But guess what? You don't need to do anything extraordinary to deserve love. You already do, just by being here. If any of this hit home, I want you to do one thing tonight. Look in the mirror and say this out loud. I am no longer the child who had to earn love to feel safe. I am the adult who deserves peace without permission. Healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what was always whole in you. If you're ready to go deeper, I'll be here. Subscribe and let's keep unraveling this together, because this isn't just a channel. It's a place where your mind finds its voice. And you're finally learning to listen.